YouTube, what's up everyone? Welcome back to the show. Hopefully you're all having an amazing day. It's the weekend and we got some major news turned up right now because something huge just flipped on behind the scenes in crypto. Now I'm talking about a real-time event that is already shaking the system. And you probably already noticed the price of XRP is starting to go back up now, aren't you? The XRP ledger, the network, it has officially gone live, the stamp of approval in a massive way that nobody saw coming. We're talking about Ripple acquiring the $1.25 billion prime brokerage, the entire US-China dynamic shifting again, and global banks quietly flipping the switch on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and yes, XRP. And the craziest part, folks, it's all happening right now. By the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why XRP is no longer just a token. It's no longer about speculation or hype. It is becoming financial infrastructure. So grab yourself a cup of coffee, maybe a nice cold adult beverage. Why not? Close your exchange tab, stop watching the price, because what's coming next could literally rewrite the entire crypto market structure. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel and hit that thumbs up. The more thumbs up we get, the more YouTube's going to push out this video through the algo. Let's try to break over 1,000 thumbs up on this video. And then we'll pick a lucky winner from the comment section. And we'll do a little t-shirt giveaway. Why not? But we're going to start right here. Who remembers this? Who remembers the market crash and the volatility ignition? All when Trump issued that tariff on China. The chaos, right? Call it tariff gate, call it whatever you want. But that was the setup. The world's two biggest economies, they were playing chess with global liquidity. Now let's fast forward to today. Trump is set to meet the president of China next Thursday. We heard all the rumblings, the tariffs, we saw the markets, we saw the volatility. We heard that the meeting was canceled, and now guess what? They are going to meet up. It's not politics, folks. This is the potential spark for a massive liquidity wave. When these two sides get together and they start talking, the markets just don't move. They're going to detonate. We get positive news from this, that this whole tariff thing is coming to an end with China, and we get back onto the same page. Expect a massive move up in the markets. We know what happens when, if they don't get along. Expect them to move down. Expect volatility, but only short-term volatility. But this volatility could set up the next run moving forward. But this kind of volatility, it doesn't destroy wealth. Remember that. That's what's very important here. It transfers it. And guess who's going to be sitting center of the table for this? Crypto, specifically. If you guessed XRP, you guessed right. Because when governments posture and they talk tariffs, the banks, they're making their real moves behind the scene. Now let's take a little trip down memory lane here. All right, we're going to start with this. Jamie Dimon, the flip from shut it down to let us use it. 2 years ago, CEO Jamie Dimon, you know, JP Morgan, one of the largest institutions within the United States, he looked at the world dead straight in the eyes. And he said, if I was the government, I would close it down. And he's talking about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, right? Fast forward to 2025, what's JP Morgan now doing? They're telling that they are going to accept it as collateral. Now, that's not just a flip. That is a confession. Do you really think that that was random? Of course not. Look, the moment $1 trillion bank says, hey, we're going to take Bitcoin, they are admitting that the crypto system isn't going away. It's being integrated. That is the whole reason they're getting behind it. And this is where it gets wild because they didn't just stop at Bitcoin, right? They've added Ethereum. They've added digital asset ETFs as well into the picture. They are building infrastructure around the very system that they tried to discredit. Listen to this.
I've always been deeply opposed to crypto, Bitcoin, etc. You pointed out the only true use case for it is criminals, drug traffickers, anti-money laundering, tax avoidance. And that is a use case because it is somewhat anonymous, not fully, and because you can move money instantaneously, and because it doesn't go through, as you mentioned, all these systems have built up over many years, know your customers, sanctions, OFAC, they can get bypass all of that. If I was the government, I'd close it down.
They can get by. That's a complete lie. We all know it. So he went from close it down to, hey, we're going to collateralize it. In this game, the sound of legacy finance bending at the knee, right? Then we move to this. JP Morgan again. This time, he was on air, and I believe this was at that conference overseas. I'm losing names. The one where all the large institutions around the world get to. But anyways, he goes on and he starts talking, his book on it again. Let's listen to this.
All that's been a waste of time, and why you guys waste any breath on it is totally beyond me.
Because you just think the whole thing just is going to zero? Going to zero and it's fake?
Bitcoin itself is a hyped up fraud.
Bitcoin itself is a hyped up fraud. It's going to zero. The government should shut it down. There's no KYC. Okay, Jamie. So why are you now using Bitcoin as collateral and Ethereum and getting involved in all these ETFs that you have built around and structured around Bitcoin? Interesting, right? You see what this is? They lied to you. They lied to retail. And it's not just Jamie Dimon. I know we're picking on him, but they all come out and they lie to Larry Fink's another perfect example here. They lied to us. They want us out. They want to scare us because the people who do not do their own research, who do not know what's actually going on in the crypto world, they're like, Jamie Dimon, he would never lie to us. He's the most honest guy out there. If he says Bitcoin is trash, well, we're going to go with Bitcoin is trash. But as he is telling you this, what they are secretly doing behind the scenes is they are accumulating it, right? And then when they are all in and they are comfortable with their position and they have the correct vehicles in place where they can start pushing this out, suddenly, out of nowhere, Bitcoin is magically safe. Nothing has changed on Bitcoin from when he went on and talked about it being, can get past KYC and AML. Nothing's changed up to this point. Bitcoin's been Bitcoin. The same procedures on how you buy Bitcoin through the exchanges have always been the same, especially in the US. Driver's license, so they know exactly who you are. This is your classic setup though. And where have you seen this, everyone? You've seen it exactly with gold. Remember that? Remember with tech? And now you are seeing it with digital asset. The patterns never change, but this time the price isn't stocks or commodities. It's monetary infrastructure itself. And the biggest players, well, they're quietly starting to move into XRP's lane. And then there you go. You see it on your screen right there. JP Morgan, 3.6 trillion under management, will now be getting into Bitcoin to collateralize it and to get into ETFs as well. It's funny how things work, right? Same old institutional leadership, same old patterns and same old games they always play. They talk down upon it. They try to shake the tree. They try to get you out. They buy every major dip that they can because remember, these institutions always have money sitting on the sidelines. They have more money than me and you. So if there is a dip, we can afford to get every single dip. But what do you think they're doing? They are buying it all up as you sell and get out because you are now nervous. Let me get this. BlockFi co-founder Zach Prince, he came out after the recent dump, and I'll never forget that dump. I've been here 8 years, and that was the craziest thing I've ever seen. It was just this red candle coming down my screen, and it was getting bigger and longer and thicker. I never thought it was going to end. It was a tough pill to swallow to watch. That's why I always tell you, just step away because it's going to come right back. And look where we are today. It's like this flash crash never even happened. But Zach says it the best. This was a buying opportunity. He's not wrong because that dump, it wasn't fear. You want to know what it was? It was redistribution. They shook the tree. They shook it hard. I've never seen it get shaken this hard. And I've seen this in my 8 years. This tree gets shook up, but the way they shook it, this was the final straw. They liquidated as many people as they can that were in long position. They wiped out all the longs, right? 19 billion, I believe it was. Wiped them all out. This thing went all the way down. They scooped it up at rock bottom prices and they instantly sent it back up. Let's listen.
To folks who are more adept at that than I am, including Mike Novogratz, the CEO of Galaxy Digital. But what I would say is what we saw on our platform at Galaxy One, which just launched a week ago, is that this was a buying opportunity. Crypto is a volatile asset class, as folks know. We support Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana on our platform currently. So there was definitely a dip there, but the activity that we saw was that folks were using it as an opportunity to add to their positions.
There were 3 exchanges responsible for the bulk of the $19 billion in liquidated leverage bets wiped out by late Friday. The lion's share were on Hyperliquid. There was about $4.6 billion on Bybit and about $2.4 billion on Binance. So there's a little bit of irony here, I guess, Zach, in that a lot of the trading activity in decentralized finance, crypto, was so concentrated, centralized on a handful of platforms. What do you think of that?
I think that you're going to continue to see an evolution in the crypto market. There's always these moments in time where folks kind of realize there are things in traditional finance that might be valuable. For example, circuit breakers, or y'all were just touching on the ability to, give clients the opportunity to post more margin before auto liquidating them. And so I think folks have to be really thoughtful about which platforms they choose to trade on. I think they have to be thoughtful about how they're using leverage, if they are using leverage at all. And I think that the space that we're heading into with Galaxy One is more targeted towards a mass affluent investor. And as a result, we're going to be a lot less focused on anything that would fall into the category of super high leverage or kind of casino-esque type trading. And
did you catch it though? Be careful what exchanges you use. He's telling you the playbook moving forward. Not all these exchanges are going to still be around. These exchanges are all going to get consolidated. You're not going to see thousands of exchanges anymore. Only a few will survive. And if I had to take a guess, you're going to see these exchanges get merged or bought out, and they're going to be an arm of another company like Fidelity and Coinbase, or BlackRock's going to step in. So while retail ran for the exits here, whales, funds, and prime brokers, they were loading up. Bitcoin, ETH, and XRP. Those were your quickest assets to rebound. Bitcoin, out of all of them, didn't really get affected that much, but you can see it all in the wallets. Everything is on chain. You can see in the settlement rails all starting to light up. And now Ripple's next move, it just connected every dot possible in the book, because Ripple didn't just buy a company, right? They just bought the future of global finance. What are we talking about? We're talking about Ripple Prime, AKA Hidden Road. This is the activation of the XRP ledger and the XRP system itself. If you haven't been paying attention, if you haven't done your research on Hidden Road, Ripple Prime, you start looking into, and we're going to get into some numbers here because you're about to be blown away. So we know it has officially completed the deal. This is Hidden Road, Ripple Prime, whatever name we want to title it for now for clarity. This is one of the world's top prime brokers, rebranded. So one of the world's top prime. We're not talking the USA, we're talking worldwide. That makes Ripple the first cryptocurrency company in history to own a global multi-asset prime brokerage. Let that sink in for a second. This is Wall Street's infrastructure fused directly with blockchain rails. And here's the kicker that everyone is missing. Both RLUSD and XRP are now live inside of Ripple's prime system. This is no longer a theory. This is now execution. Ripple just merged institutional finance with on-chain liquidity at scale. That's massive. That's not even bullish, right? That is the system actually switching on at this point. And we get into Brad's comments, and Brad doubled down this. I think this is actually a triple down from him. And he said again, because there's so much FUD and hate going on out there, and there always is when we talk about Ripple or XRP. He stated that XRP sits at the center of everything that Ripple does. He's not selling, he's building. Every payment rail, every stablecoin bridge, every liquidity product, it all routes through the XRP ledger, aka through XRP. So when Ripple Prime goes live with RLUSD as a stablecoin and XRP as a liquidity layer, it's not a coincidence. That's the plan, and it's going to go live, and the volume is going to ramp up, and the price on XRP is going to start to fly. And you need to lock in, because what I'm about to show you next right here, it's going to shock even the diehards. Over on XRPrightnow.com, Ripple's president, she teases a major RLUSD push. It's not speculation. Ripple Prime already has tripled its business growth since launch. Think about that. Tripled its business growth. That's bridging traditional finance with your digital assets, offering global institutions direct access to crypto through XRP and RLUSD. There's no other way around it, right? That is their access, XRP or RLUSD. Ripple's president, Monica Long, she confirmed it. RLUSD is now used as collateral, and XRP is next in line for full integration. We're talking stablecoin liquidity, derivatives collateral, custody, all powered by Ripple's infrastructure. This is Ripple's fifth major expansion in just 2 short years. That's not just participating in the market. They are rebuilding this market. And the engine behind it all, Ripple Prime, aka Hidden Road. A beast of brokerage, handling volume that's about to make your jaw drop. Here's Hidden Road's website. We went through it, wanted to see, what do they actually do? What markets are they involved in? And then we want to get a feel on how much volume is going through here, all right? So they do 3 trillion annually. 3 trillion, folks, just through this one. We're not talking about any kind of SWIFT integration here, banking integration, central bank digital currencies. We are talking about Ripple Prime and the volume that they do per year. $3 trillion, confirmed data. 300 financial institutions, going from hedge funds to banks to market makers. They clear derivatives and crypto all through this platform. They are plugged directly into CME Group and Debright, clearing futures, clearing options, and swaps with cross-managing between digital and traditional markets. And now Ripple owns it all. Every derivative, every FX trade, every prime broker clearing route now has the potential to run through Ripple's infrastructure with RLUSD and XRP. If you still think the system's coming, you're wrong. It's already here. So I asked Grok, my good old friend Grok, right? I wanted to know, what are we doing here? Can we back up this data? Can we verify this data that's coming from the website? And it states right here, Hidden Road clears up 3 trillion annually in total volume across their platform, encompassing derivative, FX, digital assets, and related products. It says this figure reflects their overall clearing activity, which integrates future options, sponsored access, and DMA. It states specific breakdowns for individual services. Those aren't publicly disclosed, but the firm's expansion into listed derivatives launched in 2024. Folks, this is massive. Are you kidding me? So we started with tariffs and fear and volatility. We ended with Ripple Prime, RLUSD, and XRP powering the next global financial backbone. Legacy banks, they all mocked it. Now they are collateralizing it. Isn't it funny how these things all seem to play out? Institutions laughed, now they're integrating it. The tables have turned, and they turned in our favor. And you were early enough to see this all happen in real time. So next time someone says XRP is just another altcoin, well, you need to tell them they better check their facts, and they should check the network traffic, because the XRP system switch, it's on, it's activated. In history, it's all being written on chain. If you're still watching, you already get it. Smash that like button, drop a comment down below, letting me know that you know that the XRP system is online. And let's ride this next chapter together, because this isn't hype, folks. This is financial evolution.